Hey guys, welcome to Matt's Movies, Music, and More. Today we're talking about the 1993 cult classic Leprechaun, starring Jennifer Aniston and Warwick Davis. The story of Leprechaun is about a girl named Tori who moves onto a farm with her dad for the summer, who is then terrorized by an evil leprechaun in search of his precious gold. Right off the bat, the first thing I'd say about this movie is to know what it is when you walk into it. Don't walk into Leprechaun expecting something on the level of like a Nightmare on Elm Street or a Scream, because you're not going to get that here. You have to go in expecting B-level, at best, tier movie. Expect cheese, expect very slocky fun. And if you go in with that mindset, I think there is a very good chance that you could walk out enjoying this movie. With that being said, after watching Leprechaun last night, I do have some thoughts on what I liked and what I disliked. So let's get into them. Starting off with what I liked. I loved Jennifer Aniston's performance in this movie. She brought it all, and I don't know if it's because of the other characters around her who I weren't too fond of, but she just seemed like she was definitely the standout in this movie. And I really enjoyed watching her character Tori for all that they did give her to do. She was still a very one-dimensional character, but I feel like we did get to know her more than we did even the other side characters, even with as little as they did give her to do throughout the runtime of the film. Now, like I said, that might all come from her just being played by Jennifer Aniston. We might be having some rose-colored glasses on here, but I do feel like she did give a passable performance in this film. Definitely was far from the worst that you're going to see in this film. The second thing I really liked in this film was Warwick Davis's performance as the Leprechaun. As campy as the character as the Leprechaun is, I feel like the performance is held by Warwick Davis not leaning into a serious side of it. When they were making this movie, I guarantee you, Warwick Davis knew that this character is weird, it's campy, it's cheesy, and you can tell when watching the film that he kind of just goes with it. Like, if we have to do this, then he's going to give it his all. And I feel like that comes out in his performance, in the joking side, in the one-liners, and you never feel like this is, it's an impending villain, it's a very bad situation for the characters to be in. You just feel like, it's funny watching the Leprechaun do his Leprechaun antics on screen. And I kind of see that as a positive and a negative. I mean, when you're coming from a horror aspect of the film, you want an impending villain. You want a villain that you're going to be terrified of and that your characters are going to be terrified of. But at the same time, you want a villain that's going to be entertaining to watch throughout the runtime, which I feel like you get a happy medium here. Much more than you get in some of the other sequels that we will later get to. The last thing that I really liked in this film was the comedy side of the film. There were some moments in this film that genuinely made me laugh out loud. One of them that sticks in my mind so well is the one scene where the Leprechaun rides his little tricycle out of the barn to follow them into town. It had me laughing for, not even joking, 2-3 minutes straight. And the other one also being where he's driving the little car down the highway and the cop pulls him over, also had me laughing. There are definitely some moments of genuine comedy in this film. And I think that also comes from them not taking the concept too seriously, but yet also trying to display that the characters are supposed to be afraid of this because this is supposed to be a horror movie, but it's coming at it from more of a horror comedy aspect. Now, for things I disliked in this film, the biggest thing that I was dealing with when watching this film was the side characters. And this is every character that isn't Tori or the Leprechaun. So we're talking about Nathan, Alex, and Ozzy. I think they were insufferable to watch at times, especially during the middle of this movie, probably from about the 10-minute mark to about the 40-minute mark when the Leprechaun starts having the kills in the middle of the movie. I found the moments we spent with these characters for that period of time insufferably boring. I mean, you had bad acting, bad lines, cheesy jokes, and most of these came from the characters of Alex and Ozzy. The character of Nathan I didn't mind too much. I just feel like he didn't have much of a personality in the film, and the actor portraying him wasn't really that good of an actor, so it didn't get me invested in him. So the time spent with him just seemed like time wasted in the movie, where we could have cut the runtime down a little bit. The second thing I disliked, and the thing that probably took me out of the film the most, was the setting. The setting was very uninspired and seemed very much like we were out in the middle of nowhere in a desert, just filming. Everything from the exterior shots to the interior shots just seemed so bland to watch. And when this really stuck out to me was about in the middle of the film when they go into town and you see Tori and Nathan in a diner. And when they're in this diner, you don't see any exterior shots. You just see them in the diner. You don't see anything around it. You're not building the scene for me to get invested into this film. And it comes off as very cheap to me. I feel the same way about the farmhouse setting, where it just seems like the farmhouse was set down in the middle of a desert. There's no landscaping. There's nothing interesting to look at. It's all sand colored, the whole movie, which makes the scenes during the day especially very uninteresting to watch. I didn't notice it as much at the end of the movie when it's supposed to be night, but during the day, those really stuck out to me. And the last thing I wanted to bring up as something I disliked in this film was the pacing. And like I said earlier, it feels like this movie really drags in the middle section, which ironically is the time that we're spending the most with these characters, getting to know them. But all of the stuff at the beginning where they're in the house and they're painting the house and you're getting to know Alex and Ozzy and Nathan, it just really bored me. And when we were spending time with these characters, all I was thinking is that we should be getting back to the Leprechaun and what he's going to do. And it's not until about the 35 minute mark of this film when the Leprechaun gets let out of the box, and that's when it brought me back to my attention. And again, that's not the biggest negative, because walking into this film, I knew what I was getting. I've seen this film many times, and I know exactly what it is. Every time I watch it, I go in for it for a movie to watch around St. Patrick's Day that's just going to be fun. It's just stupid fun, something you can turn on at night and watch, and it's going to kill an hour and a half. There's no harm in it. It's not overly stupid. It's not so stupid you can't watch it. It's just going to be fun. I would recommend sitting down and watching it around St. Patrick's Day. You might enjoy it because I really do enjoy it, and some of the other sequels. Overall, I would rate Leprechaun a 3 out of 5. Overall, I do think it's a great watch to watch around the St. Patrick's Day holiday. It is something I watch every year. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend you check it out. If you have seen it, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.